Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Whaling from Royal Cyber, and in this webinar today, we're going to be discussing what I think is quite an interesting topic, intriguing in fact, and it's B2B Nirvana. Can you have your cake and eat it too? This is about GWA Group's e-commerce transformation for all of their commerce and customer experience engagement strategies. And through the Uber program, are able to achieve just that, and we'll walk you through the details of that. But first, throwing to Ritesh, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, and then a little bit about GWA and the initiative that we're going to discuss today.
Absolutely, thanks, John. Ritesh, Patel, Group CIO of GWA. Just a brief background on the organization. GWA is a listed building materials company that operates in markets in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. We specialize in bathrooms. One of the brands we own is Chroma, 1940s, first company in the world which invented the fuel flush system, which we use commonly now. Other brands we own, like Methven, which is a New Zealand brand, started off making machine gun boards, and then evolved to a fantastic innovation partner for taps and showers across the world. Owns about 6 of the 10 patents in taps and showers globally, and the brand called Fala, which is a heritage of the 1860s. So great portfolio of brands, great innovation behind the organization.
Okay, thanks. And we have another guest here today, Rob McColl from Commerce Tools. If you'd like to introduce yourself and a little bit about your part.
Absolutely, thanks, John, and good to be here. My name, of course, is Rob McColl. I lead the customer success practice for Commerce Tools in the Asia Pacific region. Prior to that, I spent many years in e-commerce project delivery and product building. And really my role here and the role of my team in customer success is to work with customers like GWA and get into the weeds of what it is they're doing, what they're trying to achieve, how they're going about doing it, and journeying with them the whole way through and helping them achieve those objectives as best we possibly can. And for us, really an outcome, an ideal goal would be to be seen as a strategic partner or a trusted advisor for all of our customers, indeed for GWA as well.
Very good, thanks for that. And from our perspective, from Royal Cyber's perspective, that is, we were engaged by Ritesh sometime late in 2023. We were brought in to understand what the business objectives, etc., were for the new customer experience platform and commerce platform, and then to assist GWA with first identifying strategies on how to execute on this program of work, which was subsequently branded Uber. And then we went through the implementation, and now delighted to say we're live in many, many websites and experiences. Ritesh, would you mind just with an outline on the Uber program and how you got to where you are today?
Well, absolutely, thank you for that. So I'm going to reflect back to 23 when we first started this and put the lens of the customer on this. And what's the customer experience like at GWA? And I think we don't sell to consumers, we sell only to merchants. And the customer experience in 23 was very restricted. The only way you could probably talk to us or deal with us was a phone call, an email, or physical touch, a very high analog physical touch operations. Our goal was how can we transform this to a 24/7 self-serve channel, and how do you remove friction from the customer experience in dealing with us? Most common B2B companies, as you would know, have 3 or 4 major customer concerns. Where's my order? What's my price? Where am I going to get my product? What's something in warranty? And then you look at those key pain points of customers. How do you sort of digitize that and make it easy for customers to deal with us? And we used to program Uber, and the Uber, from our perspective, was really a frictionless experience. And it's like, take your phone out, use the app, get your car, and off you go, and payment's all done. So how do we create the same frictionless experience Uber provided for car hire, taxi, to selling of bathroom products, and hence the name Project Uber. Apart from the customer experience piece, we had a significant fragmentation of platforms. I think we owned every platform under the sun, from WordPress to you name it, in about 16 different platforms trying to serve different markets and different customer segments. What we wanted was to decentralize that to one consolidated digital platform, and obviously we chose Commerce Tools through the RFP process.
Okay, thanks. We'll go through product selection a little bit further. Just very interesting, you've been a veteran of many commerce implementations. I believe starting off with IBM Webster eCommerce, as we probably all did if we were a veteran of the commerce world. How did that compare with previous projects and engagements?
Look, doing ecom 20 years ago was hard work. Monolithic platform, central code base, very time consuming, very difficult to get anything done. Working at pace was hard. I think one of the good things we've learned over the years is how platform has evolved to Composable. So even 5 years ago, I could recall experience at another organization in New Zealand where we put in a large platform, and that was a lot of work. And I think what people forget is that it's become normal to spend 3 months doing an upgrade. It becomes normal to stop feature development, just focus and run the version upgrade. And I guess the big shift for us is we're developing 24/7. We're developing 25 days a week. We do not put any time right now on maintenance or feature upgrades.
Okay, cool. Right. And where did you end up with in terms of the project in comparison to those previous projects? How would you compare them?
Look, I think the end outcome of any of these big e-com platforms are similar. Did you create a better experience for your customers? Did you enable an online channel to buy, sell online? Absolutely. Did you create self-serve opportunities? Yes, you did. So the biggest shift has been, particularly using a composable platform, is speed and scalability and time. So, if I talk about the key benefits of how there's a big significant shift is in the old days, if I compare the monitoring platform then when we had peak periods of time, we would have to provision extra servers, call the vendor, enable more caching, and making sure that our site did not collapse during that period. But now it's just shifted. We're completely in the cloud with commerce tools. We don't worry about high traffic volume because the system adapts to peak demands automatically in that hybrid platform. The commerce tools platform manages that automatically, so there's no bottlenecks in performance from our perspective. If I compare just the time to market, the current commerce tools platform has got pre-built APIs and SDKs, which enable quick development and instant deployment as opposed to going through a massive staging, test staging, and deployment process, which again will take a week. It happens in a day or instantly right now. Just looking at lower operational costs, and maintenance. The commerce tools is cloud native, so it is built on a cloud native architecture. It eliminates the whole blabber of infrastructure management and managing multiple servers and just try to make that piece work. So I think the big shift, John, if you ask me, we're spending less time doing technology and more time adding value to the customer. That's probably the simplest way to describe this whole transformation.
From my side, as a veteran of many software companies and consulting services companies, I kind of miss the days of the server size and, with the advocates.
Absolutely.
And we'd come up and we'd measure how many servers you'd need and how many CPU licenses, etc. But it's a different world. And who would have thought that's Rob, just pivoting to you for a sec. What are your experiences in general? You've obviously witnessed many of these in your role as a CSM.
I have, and prior to that, I spent many years in delivery and product building as well, all within e-commerce. So I feel like I've probably seen everything, and I feel like I've seen it from each side: the vendor side, the SI side, and the merchant side as well. But I think Ritesh actually touched on some really interesting points there, because if I'm thinking back, the last 25 years of all of these projects I've done from all of these different, camps, as it were. Like fundamentally, the real drivers behind all these kinds of transformations, they're usually about the organization trying to be more customer centric. And in the world of commerce, commerce is a capability, it gets delivered through a good customer experience, but what's kind of sitting above all that is this need to be more customer centric, and how can they listen to customer needs and wants more quickly and easily and respond more rapidly. And so I would say, some of the underlying expectations of doing a transformation haven't changed in that time. So it still boils down to operational efficiency and customer experience. Those two sort of outcomes never go away. But as Ritesh pointed out, what's really changed is the technology. So with composable technology now, it genuinely enables you to make this stepwise adjustment in terms of how you can actually structure your entire organization around being customer centric. And commerce tools and composable technologies, they're just enablers for that. Okay, so it's not about being corralled or directed or governed by what your technology does or doesn't do, which is the common pain point that I certainly have heard over the years. It's actually about, well, what do you want to do? And the technology should be there to enable you in doing that. So I think what Ritesh is saying really resonates with my experience as well.
And while we're here, we might as well address the topic of composable, because as with all things, when a particular initiative starts out and it has a direction, and then people change direction sometimes with it, but also people jump on the bandwagon, and sometimes it can become, a term like composable can become quite commoditized. But if you wouldn't mind, Rob, from a vendor perspective, what does composable really mean?
Yeah.
In I guess the proper applied sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good question. So it is a term that's probably increasingly misused, but the meaning is still within the name. The concept of composable technology is that you as a business or an organization can pull together different products, services, whatever the case may be, into what we would call packaged business capabilities, units of capability that you can then easily adjust and change as time goes on, independent of one another, as opposed to what you're sort of stuck with a closed off old legacy, what we would call a monolithic application that sort of tries to do everything all in one and is quite difficult to extend and change. But there's some characteristics about composable software specifically that help sort out what is real composable and what is not. Broadly speaking, they would be microservices based, so entirely cloud native, I should say, to begin with, and microservices based, typically fronted with APIs and completely headless as well. And that, of course, allows you to consume these services and capabilities and stitch them together really in interesting and creative ways. And as Ritesh said, from a performance perspective, all of these services scale completely independently and automatically. So that just is not a thing that we ever need to think about. The second point I guess I would flag here is when you make a genuine transition to composable technology and you've introduced all of these component parts that are now each delivering their own capabilities to your business, there's no more concept of replatforming. So you can just pick on the area of capability across that solution stack where you want to enhance or change, and you can go and do that, and the rest of everything stays as is and carries on. So pretty different mindset, different shift to the way things were even just 10 years ago. Commerce Tools has been around since sort of 2006. We're the pioneers in this entire way of building commerce solutions. So for us, it feels like it's quite mature, but certainly at an industry, it's not always the case. Yeah.
Sure. So just from our perspective with composable, it is not only a technology theory, or it has become a standard, but it's also should be one that should hold true in real life examples about how you implement, etc. Ritesh, with what Rod has just described about composable, did that actually eventuate? Does that hold true with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've built about 8 sites so far, serving different segments of the market and different needs of customers. Chroma Trade is an e-com platform across Australia, New Zealand, which serves the segments of our merchant customers. And it's the whole where's my order, what's my price for invoices, like credit notes, etc., and the whole business relationship. We've got a site called Specifier, so for architect designers. Again, a solution site used by those designers. When I really understand how come up with the whole design scheme was, by housing specification. We've launched a B2C site at chroma.com.au, which is for mums and dads to look at Chroma products online, understand what type of product will suit their needs for their renovation job for their bathrooms. And all of these was done, I guess, with our partners. But a couple of sites, our B2C sites, our team, through developers, just launched it independently. So that shows you, once we built the foundation components, we could really use them and plug and play them across different websites and different user bases without the need to rebuild every asset. So that's where the power of Composable, I guess, John, came for us. is accelerating the approach at pace, and particularly building a global digital footprint with multiple segments, B2C and B2B. The composable tool just really comes into play in reducing overall development time and cost and risk.
Yeah, for sure. Spot on.
Okay. And how does that then compare with the previous projects you've implemented, say on the more monolithic platforms, which are the opposite? We'll go into a little bit about that in a sec, but how does it compare, this project versus?
I really believe it's speed and time. If I really bring down the essence of the project, which again was we went World Cyber in New Zealand for a building merchant, that was quite a successful project from the whole shift to the business from analog to digital. But man, we spend a lot of time and resources in building features and functionality, and not to forget we had to stop development to upgrade to a new version of the software for 3 or 4 months, and that all adds to time and speed. But also, I think developers, I feel, generally enjoy working with composable technology because it is simpler, it's more compartmentalized. It's separate from front end, back end, completely segmented and separate. You've got components and basket, you've components and tools, you're building different widgets. So all of that really makes the job to build these things a lot more enjoyable, as opposed to, man, where was that line of code that I put through and just try to find through some of the errors, etc. So just from a build perspective. But the proof of the pudding in any of this is the customer experience, right? That's where it all counts. And that's where I think GWA is pushing really hard on how do we create a customer experience for merchant partners to make us a frictionless experience.
And we're talking to customers here, aren't we? We are talking about GWA's customers, but I guess in your role, you have internal customers. So how do they handle this initiative?
Our key internal customers are our sales organization, our marketing teams, and the marketing teams love the Composable because they don't rely on technology to do things for them. They could use the features and functionality of commerce tools to really build the landing page they need, to really edit content they need without us getting involved. So we're zero touch from any of those content management marketing activities. From a sales perspective, while it's not so much on the site, what we do with the commerce tools platform is really make them understand where does the digital tools help them in their customer journey from the sales cycle perspective, right? So while it's not a technology play, it is using the digital tools and customer acquisition, customer loyalty. When is the right time to use the program trade tools to serve the segment of the customer? So it helps them win more business and keep customers more.
Okay. So you touched on plumbers before. I have to put in this quip, but who would have thought that a plumber would become a social influencer? But I guess that's probably what they do a lot of anyway. But from their perspective, how do they find the experience as well? Because you've got your direct B2B customers, but you've also got these.
Yeah, we do. And you think about plumbers right now, and you've got to take in their persona. Is there on the job site? They've got to pull up something they're working. I think that part, and where the plumbers hub, which we've built for plumbers, comes into play, is really about getting that information quickly. I need to understand the part number. I need to understand the specification manual. I need to understand troubleshoot this. So the plumbers hub is in this tool of plumbers on the job site to really get that information quickly, rather than trying to call someone with a call center or etc. It is that self-serve feature because plumbers is one of the segments that they're time poor. Like they don't want to waste time on a job site. So we've got to make sure we have the right information and the right experience online to really serve their needs.
Yeah. And that's just one persona. Perhaps we can touch on all of your customer personas, architects, specifiers, the B2B customers themselves. What would you say their perception was of GWA before we started the program?
Oh, look, I think the company's done a lot of work the last couple of years of becoming really customer-centric as an organization. So digital was one piece, our die for our supply chain, and from an organization which went from a negative NPS a couple of years ago to a positive NPS now, because we really are making it easy on the customer. And I guess where tools like Commerce Tools comes in, it empowers our teams to make it easy for the customer, because we're not fighting the system, right? It is a system designed for speed and agility. and with speed and agility, we're able to deploy features to market. I think of Chroma Trade, John, from memory, we were in market in 3 months in the first MVP.
Yeah.
And that's fast for B2B trade tools, particularly with just complex integrations to ERP systems and ERP backends. And that project in the past, I don't know, in a year, just to get an MVP out.
That's moving the needle on a couple of points there, right? You guys got a diametric shift from a negative NPS to a positive, and a lot of organisations we see this as an incremental change. That's one, and then time to market for a new platform, 3 months, is rocketing speed. Can you walk us a little bit through that?
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot of lessons in terms of e-com development. And one of the ways we think you speed up e-com, not just having the right platform, which is composable and agile, but actually working in an agile way. Yeah. And what we've learned is we adopt the scale agile methodology to deliver, where we have a dedicated team for product. We've got product owners set up, and their team works to a backlog of features, which is really designed to add value to the customer experience. And we work with high priority features. Yeah. The great thing about the system we have is we expect delivery or a demo of development every 2 weeks. So this is where, again, Composable comes into play, because you're able to develop in shorter frequency of cycles to really develop features which add value and just really show it to us, as opposed to, you know, wasting a couple of months writing a specification document, then building it, and then testing it. And by the time you haven't validated any of the work you've done with the customer. So we're able to really, every 2 weeks and every fortnight, release functionality and features, get feedback from the customer, and really go again through a build cycle. The shorter, sharp build cycles allow us to work at speed, but also allow us to give the right experience to the customer, as opposed to keeping our fingers crossed.
I think you actually touched on something quite interesting there. So you hear about these, what were typically maybe sort of .com era type businesses, or ones that liked to think of themselves as those sort of technology native type businesses, referring to themselves as just technology companies. We're a technology company and we happen to sell X or Y or Z. And I think what that is really speaking to under the hood of that kind of a statement is having that kind of capability, which is like a really mature product capability, right? That's what's driving this flywheel of what does the customer want to need? How do we hypothesize and, you know, test up, is it this, is it that, and then actually go and implement that constantly, just indefinitely, right?
And the good thing is Composable and it has components you can change quickly.
You can, absolutely.
You're not tied into the back-end system where you're going to link the database every line of code.
Yeah, no, I think you've really touched on something there. It's you know, we had another customer who went from doing 2 or 3 deployments per year with literal hours of downtime every single month. So think of that, to doing thousands of deployments a year with 0 downtime, because they you know, really sort of took the steps that you're talking about here, really made the most of the composable transformation. And to make the most of that transformation, you do want to actually change how your teams are structured. You do want to empower them to be able to work interdependently and deploy things at scale and not be dependent on each other, so they can't, you know, all those benefits you were describing. I think it's actually a really good indicator that you're down that path of like thinking of yourself as like a technology business that is just focused on the customer.
You know, I think you have to, though. Like what we're talking about Composable, but really we also look at digitizing products right now. Yeah. Right? From a smart cloud, we're bringing IoT into your everyday bathroom experiences. That's like digital on your whiteware. So that's another area of focus for us.
Yeah, and who would have thought bringing that experience into CX? That's an awesome story in itself. Well, then your customers are working at breakneck speed. Your role is to support them. How do you work at breakneck speed?
Look, I would say not so much about working at breakneck speed. It's actually about really understanding what the customer is setting out to do. And it's sort of like anything, right? The more you can understand something, and in this case, what are the objectives? What's the business case behind it? What are the KPIs? What do those KPIs look like, and where are you hoping to see them shift to? Like NPS was a great example. The more that we can understand all of that as early as possible in our engagement with the customer, the better and easier it is, because it's really our job to to understand all of that and then partner with them in as much as we can to then bring together things like best practices, could be direct technical guidance based on what other customers have done or how other customers have solved this kind of a problem in the past. Also engage the wider team across Commerce Tools. So we're quite happy and willing to connect our customers directly to our product teams to provide feedback, maybe to provide very low-level insights about how to optimize something, how to do something in the most optimal way. But also, just all the way through from design to initial launch, let's call it sort of release one. For us, we think about it more as like there's release one and then there's all the other releases that follow that. So our approach to this isn't we're going at breakneck speed and how do we hang on. This is just the cycle of how good product is built, and let's just make sure GWA and other customers get off on the right foot and understand what they can do with our products and services and actually help them do that. And then very quickly, as Ritesh said, it doesn't take, especially technical folks, they get their heads around this technology super quick. It's deceptively easy. I would say that. I've certainly had a lot of conversations.
Yeah, deceptively in a good way, but yeah, for sure.
So I think the change that I've seen, and look, to be clear, it's other folks in my team that work with your teams in building this, right? But certainly I'm across obviously everything that happens. And the change that I've seen broadly has been the discussion at the start of this transformation is very much focused on these are capability gaps, these are the painful things, how do we overcome them? The focus is very much on dealing with the problems at hand. And very quickly that focus and that sort of those discussions shift towards what's the next thing we're going to do. And as you mentioned, Ritesh, your teams are now working in a way which is all of these things we can do are valuable to the business. Let's just do them in the most valuable order. And that is a complete shift compared to we can't do these things at all. What's the cost of not being able to do it? It's just a fundamental change basically. And I think it's fantastic. It's what we need to do.
So Ritesh, I recall at the very early days of this project when we were setting up governance, etc., and that you were quite particular about sticking to the script, building largely what's out of the box, and then not deviating from that. And if there were any potential scope creep that would have come in, there would have to be a really significantly good reason to consider it. Just walk us through a little bit about that and how the project was set up, and did you actually, by and large, stick to the script?
Oh, yes. I think like any project, what you want to demonstrate is success early, and what you want to do is mitigate risk. And with a lot of projects like these, we execute. It is sticking to that script of what is out of the box, what do we sort of can use now, curate an MVP product on that based on customer outcomes, customer needs, and then mature and grow as more confident we get. So I guess it's not, even for me, not digital, any technology project you work on, you would probably use the premises of keeping it out of the box first, getting wins, building confidence, learning, growing, experimenting. So right now, where we are in the innovation phase of this. So the questions we're asking now is not so much about can we create a card or can we create a wish list or can we create a checkout. The questions we're asking now is how do we bring agentic AI into commerce? The questions we're asking now is how do we link our IoT platform so we know when a customer needs consumables, the commerce already creates an order for us. So that's where we are. But those questions and those capabilities are probably hard on day one. Then day one, you're establishing the platform, you're getting confidence, you're bringing people together. So you've just got to have a mindset of, core walk one is what I use. And that is a journey. And every business and every team goes through it. Some try and sprint in day one and they potentially can. But from our perspective, where we've learned, particularly when you have an AS-listed business where you have to be risk conscious, you've got to work in a way which is sustainable for the organization and for your teams.
I think just thinking as you were talking about that, it sounds like you've kind of gone from that place of just struggling to cope with the technology that was holding you back to now not even really thinking so much about the technology. It's about what are the business things that we want to do? How are we going to go to market with this new initiative, the IoT, whatever the case is? But what sort of popped into my mind there is you've gone from a place of sort of having to say no to the business and no to your customers to being able to say yes to the business and yes to your customers. And it's just about the order that you're.
Absolutely. It's a great time. Like, I had a discussion with the CEO, I think a couple of weeks ago. We purposely said we want to build the right foundations for business. I remember going to a board meeting and talking about AI about 6 months ago. I said, look, it's coming. But I think the messaging we gave them, we're building a house. We're laying our foundations of digital right now. We're laying our foundations of IoT. Now we're laying our foundations of AI. And what we will do is bring all three together. So one of the early use cases we're discussing and experimenting with Royal Cyber is launching an agentic AI bot for Mario, which is a commerce help us. And the use case there is really, I've got this current product. I wanted the spare parts for this. How do I install them? And using conversational AI. But the good thing is that it links to the Commerce Tools platform with a product already embedded in it. And you click on that, go to the card directly. So that journey of going to the search box and trying to figure things out and filtering, etc., has been totally disrupted with your agentic AI bot.
I can't wait to see it. Then coming back to, I guess, the program of work, you wanted a new platform that allowed the business to focus more on business rather than the rest of the technology. January 2024 was when the project started. We're now February 2025, 13 months. How many sites have you got live?
I think we've got 8 sites now live across the world.
Okay. So it's an average of nearly 2 per quarter.
Yes.
Very good going. And of course, the first one didn't take that short amount of time. And, it might be glib to say, but these could be very lightweight product sites, but for anybody who would have access to the B2B side of your B2B site, that's not simple B2B. That's
a complex B2B one.
Addressing it.
But we have a philosophy that you've got to take complexity out of the customer and bring the complexity in. So we weave the integration points and data points together to make it easy for the customer.
Which is what we're here for, right? Building for the customer. And then what was their experience during the project and afterwards? Engagement? Were they engaged on initial design, for example?
Yeah, so look, the team worked really hard with the marketing team. We went through a customer experience workshop, found the key pain points with us, documented those pain points, and really prioritized which features would go first. Because we knew which features would add value. And then when we launched it, an MVP launch, we went to our customers again. We went to different types of customers. Again, is this in line with the expectations? But given this is where the composable nature comes in, right? When we know there is a misalignment for some reason, or minor misalignment of option location or color, or even certain form type, we're able to make the changes very quickly. And John, if you recall, if this was about 7 years ago, a monolithic platform, it would have been a project on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then customer experience afterwards, you mentioned that diametric shift in NPS scores. What was some of the anecdotal feedback from those customers?
There was general excitement on how easy it was to deal with us. Because we've shifted the whole way of doing business from calling us, emailing us, waiting for a rep to really going on your app, having a conversation with us in terms of using the Chroma Trade product and having a self-serve 24/7 culture. So we see a growth in terms of adoption. We've got more work to do. The plumbing industry is not the easiest segment to drive adoption, but that will come. But the initial feedback from customers who are using it is just fantastic.
Okay, then starting to come back to addressing some of the metrics again. How would that have impacted your cost to serve those customers? Call center, for example, or other channels?
Yeah, so we've got a target this year of reducing from the initial analog volumes, we will decrease that by 15% this year. So by June 30th, we'll have removed 50% of analog touch points, and then another 12 months, a further 15%. So you can see that is a significant shift to cost to serve, because there's less phone calls, less people answering phone calls, less errors being made in the advice we give, less improved consistency and productivity. So we are really working hard on that metric. So that reduction of cost to serve is a high one for us, and also NPS. And currently we will be on target for that.
And the way that you're pursuing that reduction on cost to serve is interesting as well, because it's that what was previously pretty much sunk cost time, right? Like that you can now actually redirect to value-added tasks.
Absolutely.
So it is this flywheel. You know, the more mature and the further you go on, it's like the flywheel spins.
Yeah, the only thing we've got to bear in mind, different industries mature different times.
For sure. Yeah.
So I remember in the office supplies industry 20 years ago, John, 80% of revenue was B2B or digital, was on e-com.
Right.
20 years ago. So that shows you we're now sort of coming to the hardware and building materials industry. So it just takes time. Industries mature at different times.
And what about complex integrations with customer systems, EDI or integrations such as that?
You know, one of the things I was having a joke with John a couple of days ago. While we always went on an e-com project, previously we always talked about the integration project. The integration project, John, was probably bigger than the digital project back then. So we started up with JBoss, ESB. I think we met the message broker. We used MuleSoft in the past. In for certain time we had to use those heavy integration platforms. Today we just use Azure API in the cloud and connect. Right. The fundamental shift has been is integration has been lightweight because the platform's quite nimble and modular, so we don't need to build a massive integration layer.
And you mentioned before you had so many different technologies, well into the tens of technologies that you had. What about cost to serve on the technology platform? How much would you have taken out of the business cost-wise by putting it onto a singular platform now?
But we probably would have saved 40% of the cost already. So there's a significant cost managing multiple platforms. But for me, the cost piece, the biggest benefit is being the cyber resiliency. One of the ways we got buy-in to start this transformation project is we had a red team, hired a red team to hack our system deliberately, so find the weaknesses, and they immediately penetrated those legacy digital platforms and got data out.
Wow.
So for me, while we've got some momentum and some cost savings, the biggest benefit for us, and particularly a listed company, is the cyber resiliency the platform has brought.
The risk now around data and data management is so high.
Yes.
It can't be unprecedented.
Very good. So return on investment. What was the projected return on investment for the program platform?
Look, if we look at from our perspective, A, are we improving customer experience? B, are we reducing cost to serve? C, are we creating a cyber resilient organization? And at this point, all of those metrics are being picked. And that's the key for us.
Okay. Very good. Just now having a look at this from another aspect about the project and its outcomes. Obviously, it all didn't pin on Composable in a small agile way.
I think so, John. I think technology for the last 12 months has changed so much. Right? I mean, the word AI wasn't really communicated 18 months ago in a heavy manner. Now organizations are preparing for AI first future. So with the Composable platform, it allows you to think about, well, we've got the digital platform now. How do we evolve this into an AI platform to really take this to the next level? How do we bring in bots to work with the commerce tools together to create an experience which is unmatched? So right now, a lot of our work is going towards that future. But it wasn't Composable, right? Well, what would you be doing? You'd be rewriting, rebuilding everything right now to get ready for an AI future. Now with the Composable platform, you can shift very quickly.
Just on that, it's interesting. I've had this similar conversation a few times actually, just in recent weeks with different people, and I don't think everyone is aware of the fact, but commerce tools in particular, and just more broadly, many Composable technologies are sort of built and ready for this new wave of generative AI and machine learning. And actually, they were ready 12 years ago, right? Like where we see the future going is very much what you're starting to do now, Ritesh. So it's the ability, or maybe I'll rephrase it. It's almost like the missing step that still hasn't really been nailed in a lot of these AI bots and asking your phone questions and things, is coupling the LLM's knowledge of a topic, so it can know all about your products and their specs and things like that. But coupling that with real-time, accurate, valid data that's surfaced instantly. So the ability for a plumber to ask, where is the nearest Corona store that has this particular faucet in stock, and 8 meters of PEX pipe because I'm renovating a 1950s Australian style home. You know, it's those very nuanced questions that can get completed, and the actual action of the purchase then directed or completed with that real-time surfacing of the inventory position, of the price, of the, you know, the location, and so on. So it's we're really excited about that too, because we're ready. You know,
Absolutely.
What are all the great things that our customers can conceive of? You know,
absolutely. And look, I think that the MVPs and the POCs we're sort of working on right now is very aligned to that. You know, how do we create a spare parts channel for plumbers to deal with us? Because if that plumbers are time poor, then it answers quickly on site.
Now look at the implementation method. You chose safe agile. I think it would be fair to say not too many people were at least understanding of safe agile, let alone practitioners of it. How well did you embrace safe agile, and how well was it used through the project?
Oh, look, like any ways of working, you've got to bring people with you. So I think what we did first, John, we got a core leadership team trained on safe agile, and they were the ones who actually took this to the business. We had our ELT sort of trained on some agile concepts, and then our entire team went to agile training. But we didn't stop with them. I think Royal Star, but you guys invested your team to be working in the same way. So we were all working in the same cadence and rhythm. One of the powerful things about methodology is a ceremony called PI planning, where you spend 2 days of planning your 3 months of work together. So that creates an alignment between all teams on what needs to be delivered in those 3 months. And as I said, given it's composable, we can deliver things every 2 weeks.
And then you litmus test it that you can actually achieve that block of work in the epic or whatever it may be within that time period. And you stick to the script and keep going. How well equipped would you think GWA would be today with Agile?
Well, I think we've expanded Agile across the organization. So it's no longer a technology way of working. It is how the business delivers strategic projects. So we've got 2 customer priorities, customer first and profitable volume growth. These are the 2 major areas of focus. And there are work streams underneath that which work in a scale agile fashion. So accounting, finance, marketing, sales, and all of those people work in the little squads and teams, all catch up, have their weekly catch-ups, have their show and tell demonstration. So this is adopted by the entire business.
That's fascinating. And they're all contributing in those PR sessions and everything. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And what about governance and controls in the project? Is it something that was needed to be readdressed at any time, or did...
Look, I think you still have your steercodes monthly. We provide the execs updates on cost and budget and etc. But given the rhythm of the scale agile process, you're showing value every couple of weeks.
It's more predictable.
Absolutely.
You've got a velocity, you've got a release cadence, I guess, with your release trains. Have the frequency of doing that, but certainly you've got that predictable outcome that I think is what really the business needs and wants to know. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, we've spent quite a bit of time on this. Now let's start shifting over to the results of the project. Certainly 8 sites in 13 months is a pretty impressive outcome. How does that then translate into where we're going to with the topic today? Have we noticed increase in revenue, for example, from sales or units processed or ordered? Is that
for us? I mean, given we have 4 major customers, EDI will always be the key way of driving revenue. But I guess what's happened today is that the platform is being prepared to help at some point to help our plumbing customers. So we'll see what happens over there. But the real motivation for us was service, the self-serve, the information dissemination, the quick access to materials. Those were the key benefits.
Okay. And then other opportunities for revenue, is this the vehicle to obtain new customers, for example?
Absolutely. I think with the whole shift to agentic AI, it'll be interesting how we combine commerce and the AI together to really solve very nuanced customer problems. Particularly, when you specifiers and designers who are very particular on certain things, how do you actually communicate that and show that at pace on what features, what products, and what services we have really help solve the problem? It is.
Yeah, that's right. And then I guess that to that point, from an educational standpoint, if you were to seek to grow your market share within a particular customer or obtain a new customer, how educational would you be on this platform as part of that process?
Well, the platform is,
So then just coming back to those, I guess, project outcomes, we have discussed some of the revenue generation opportunities, the cost reduction opportunities, merging all of these together, coming back to the topic of the subject, B2B Nirvana. Do you think you've achieved it?
I think it changes because I don't think we're ever happy.
That's good.
So have we achieved it? Of course, from the business case we set for this project, 100% we're live, we're operating, we're growing adoption. But I just think the world's changing so quickly. What was good maybe 12 months ago, John, is not good anymore. So I think the challenge for us is that, where we're looking at is how do we really bring and fuse AI and commerce together to really create a compelling customer experience. So yes, we have created a self-serve channel. We're a 24/7 business now. You can interact with us any time of the day, and we've removed all the friction points, but there's still more work to do.
I'd settle for happy because change is constant after all, as we're so often reminded. Then all of the KPIs, the business objectives that you set prior to them, would it be fair to say you largely achieved them all, or were there any compromises?
No, I think from a product build, I think we were quite happy. Where we need to do better is grow adoption and usage, and that's just a constant journey we're going to have, because the industry we are working with right now is a very tactile industry, digitized quite late in the cycle of digital transformation. So adoption, usage, constant reuse of that. We've got a great change program. We developed it with Uber. We launched an event called UberCon, which is a nickname for our state-based launch events for this program, where we train our people, prizes and awards, etc., to really help them drive the transformation to our customers. So that UberCon concept has worked really well. So we're just playing on the word of Uber from a build perspective, product perspective, also change perspective, and that change takes time.
Yeah, look, I think you're perfectly positioned though, because there was some just in the lead up to this conversation, I was happened to actually be doing some reading about B2B trends specifically, and something that just came to mind as you were talking then was there's a lot of data now that demonstrates that the B2B buying experience, generally speaking, or the expectations that buyers have around that B2B buying experience still isn't being met. Certainly not the case for yourselves anymore. But interestingly, the overlay of that piece of information is also that the average B2B buyer is now much younger. And the data suggests that those younger buyers are very likely, more than half of them, I think it was 70-something%, were likely just to shift their supplier if that other supplier could offer a better buying experience, a better digital buying experience. And then the perhaps slightly alarming statistic that also coupled with that was less than half said they'd actually had a positive buying experience. So you can kind of see now, if you're not in the position that you are, where you're no longer having those sort of core structural issues of can we even provide this buying experience, you're actually now capitalizing on what is a great buying experience look like. If you're not in that position, that's a problem, I think, for any B2B seller at this point, because it's moving fast. People aren't getting, the younger buyers are the ones that become the managers of those buying businesses, and it's all shifted that way now. So it's so
it's a question of also future-proofing your business, right?
100%. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. And new feature development. How active is the customer in asking you for new things, or could you do this better?
We are working with customers daily. We're getting feedback and advice on how we make the platform better. Different customers, different needs, because we have different types of customers, right? From Bunnings to Reese, to Pregnant, to small plumbing stores, and each of those segments demand a certain level. Wow. So yes, absolutely.
Again, so it's good, very interesting about with the customer's viewpoint here. Although, what would you do differently, if anything?
I think getting customer feedback is great. I think you've got to talk to the right people, right customers also. So I think there's been some of the learnings we've had in the project so far is when we're testing with customers. You have the customer who use it, but then you have institutional customers who actually govern how the program is rolled out in the organization. So you've got to make sure not only focus on the person who's using the digital tools, but particularly head office customers who are controlling the experience for their branches. You get buy-in, you get sort of alignment with them. So that probably is a bit of a learning, and we could have done it better. But as far as the project's concerned, the partnership, the delivery of Composable to the organization, the acceleration of pace and delivery, I think we're on track.
Okay, very good. Rob, any observations from you on that point?
Yeah, actually, I think that there's sort of a thread here about business change management. So sounds like GWA did that very effectively. So I've done SAFe and everything as well. And like one of the key things that they'll tell you at the outset of getting trained up on SAFe is you're bringing it into an organization, it has to start at the top down, which is exactly what you did. But similarly, you've got this complex selling or introduction of the new products and services you're taking in to your buyers who haven't really transformed in that way. Now, it's not like they need to be SAFe practitioners or anything, but they're getting to grips with new ways of engaging with you and purchasing from you. So there's a bit of change management there. So I think for me that what I sort of take out of some of your thoughts on this, Ritesh, is just the importance of the change management piece that sits underneath all of this, or perhaps even underpins, like, you know, a large
I think it is. I think the role, if you're doing digital, you're a change agent.
Right.
Your role is not tech. Your role is business transformation, and that's the piece of aligning your peers, your stakeholders together on common outcomes. So it starts really from your board presentation right through going through your customers, and you've got to have that consistent change across. And not delivering great technology, it's the great change you give your people in the organization, the programs you run, the investments you make in change, but also the fun you have while doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And who would have thought we'd all have fun on a project, huh? Especially 5 or 10 years ago, when you might have been doing some late nights. So it might be a hard question to answer then. So maybe perhaps if we put it in orders of magnitude, what you've achieved, 13 months, 8 sites, etc. If you were to do that in one of the previous platforms that you've implemented before around commerce, is there any way that you could even say, well, it was 2x quicker or 5x quicker? What are your thoughts?
3x quicker would be quite easy to make that statement in terms of going that fast. Yeah.
And I guess you as a CIO would take that, right?
Absolutely.
The CFO?
He doesn't probably care.
The person with the purse strings, huh? Very good.
I think what's happening more and more is businesses are taking the quick development as well. As AI grows, as
table stakes.
That's correct. So I think we're not moving to a composable platform. I think you want the organization back.
Yes. And in the work breakdown structure and in the Gantt timeline, you just don't see those big blocks of set up the infrastructure or set up development methodology.
UAT, SIT.
Yeah. All that stuff.
Oh, God.
Hey, what are we going to do now? All that's been taken away. AI is coming in. Will we have a future as humans in front of our computers?
We'll find out.
I think we'll all have a job somehow, but who knows what that might be? You might be making tea for the chatbot or something. All right. Okay. So just starting to wrap up now, we have some questions from the panel. Next question. This one definitely is for you, Ritesh. What expectations did you need to set with key stakeholders before, during, and after the implementation?
I think before you got to have a clear why are you doing this project and what's the purpose around it. Because if you talk to the business execs about websites and digital, it's there, just it's wanting to use it and grab one off the shelf and start going for it. But I think the conversation needs to be very strategic. So before the project starts, it is the strategy and how you support the strategy of the organization. And digital is now one of the enablers of strategy. So when we look at our strategies, customer first and profitable volume growth, digital now is a core enabler in our strategy house for achieving that. So it's going to align the strategy, and the why is going to be clear. you've got to have a clear benefits in terms of what's the ROI, the customer experience, whether it be NPS. NPS is a great measure to really understand qualitatively where you're going and how the benefits are. A baseline of that. We actually measured all our phone calls coming to the organization. We had actually measured all our phone calls, how many phone calls were about on ETA, wastewater, and 60% of our calls, we realized we could digitize this. Because that's the kind of analysis you've got to do, because you're building a business case to reduce total cost to serve.
Yes.
So great experience, reduce the total cost to serve, and again, we have a cyber resilient platform in the organization, and that's probably key. So that's probably your beginning phase, and the key question to ask and ensuring that we got that nail. During in all of that, it's about technology partnership, running your R&D processes, making sure we select the best partner based on your needs and where you want to go. I think very few organizations, in my perspective, will probably choose a micro platform moving forward. I just can't see the value and the ROI, and given how things which are changing with AI, as we discussed, and the world's just changing quickly. So you got to be fast. You got to be, and that composable stack or commerce tools Mac architecture is one of the better platforms to build your future business strategy on.
Okay, that's all the questions we have time for. I guess just now going to final comments, observations. Ritesh, would you do it all again? And would you do it the same way?
It's probably my fourth digital transformation, and every time I've changed it differently. But this has probably been the best transformation in terms of speed, agility, and reducing complexity to build digital products.
And Rob, from you?
Yeah, the final comments from me would be just a feeling of excitement, really. This is sort of the ground floor. As you've been talking about, your whole headspace and your whole mindset now, it sounds like the whole culture of your business is just about how do we do these really forward-looking things and deliver that absolute next level customer experience. And that is exactly what myself and my wonderful team of customer success people in our region love to hear. We have happy customers who are really getting the most out of our product. So I'm just really excited to see what comes in the future.
But we are here today. B2B Nirvana, can you have your cake and eat it too? Can you achieve revenue increases and cost reductions without compromise? Maybe we could say there have been a few here, but I'd like to think that we are in a state of a lot less in the way of flux in that area than what we had previously experienced. Is that fair to say, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like the now. I don't know if I'd want to go back to one of those early projects.
Definitely not. Never again.
I think I like winning more than doing it. All right, gentlemen, an absolute pleasure. On behalf of Royal Cyber, thank you very much for your attendance today. Thank you, Ritesh, and thank you, Rob.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.
And for the listeners, thank you very much for your attendance. We hope you have a great day. We hope you got something out of this session. Thank you very much.